Former President Thabo Mbeki is to engage students from different countries and diplomats at Unisa today. It's on this day where the former president announced his resignation from office after the ANC recalled him. Let's take you live to that.
Start these remarks, I want you to share with the public today why this particular endeavor to come and speak to our students. As we welcome you to the stage, I'm going to invite President Mbeki to the stage now to give short remarks and actually even answer the questions that I have actually asked. Thank you. I know many people. Yes.
Please, let's sit down, thanks. Some of you will not, maybe will not know this. That many years ago, I was younger than I am now. You know, at those years, in the 20s, one of the very, very exciting things on the continent was the amount of discussion, the engagement among Africans across the continent about the future of the continent. Very, very lively discussion. And central to that discussion were a number of our universities. University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, Makerere in Uganda, Ibadan, Nigeria, Sheikh Anta Diop in Senegal, number of other universities, very engaged about the matter of the future of our continent. So that the intelligentsia, the African intelligentsia, was very, very central in determining the matter as to where is the continent going? What kind of institutions should it have? What sorts of value system? Curricula at universities, what should they contain? Ahmadu Bello in Nigeria was one of those universities. And then things started going wrong. And what was going wrong was not the universities, was the politics in our countries. Because General Thabo Mbeki carried out a coup d'etat. He's wearing an army uniform. And afterwards, a year later, he takes off his uniform and puts on a suit and says, "Please elect me president." So the intelligentsia on the continent would say, and that's not what we want. So what does now President Mbeki-elect do? He acts against the universities and his academics. He interprets them as now you are a center of opposition to me. So there's quite a period when a lot of our leadership, on the political leadership, turned against universities. At about the same time, some of the Bretton Woods institutions, like the World Bank, started teaching us, the Africans, wrong things. wrong things like, what is very important in education is at the base level up to such and such, not so much the higher education. So you begin to see the drying up of funds for higher education. But I think we are going back to the situation on our continent when the intelligentsia must come back to play this critical role. If you look at the continent, many things that are not going right. And we need this honest intellectual input into the same question as 60 years ago, 50 years ago. Where should the continent go? What should it do? Not a university, therefore, as an ivory tower, but so a center of learning, of research, of teaching, to increase the levels of the intelligentsia that the continent has, but also to engage the communities, to engage the politics and the challenges of the country. I'm saying all of those things, colleagues, to say that's the argument for the establishment of this African school. I've been complaining here for some years about the levels of engagement of our intelligentsia, the South African intelligentsia, our engagement with the challenges that this country faces. And I think very, very inadequate, that engagement by intelligentsia out of our universities. So I'm saying it was then thought by people like the dean of the school, Professor Vilnkomo, Edith Paswana here, the Vice Chancellor Puleng Lengabol, other people, that let's be part of that stream towards, in a sense, the resurrection of this intelligentsia on our continent, which is going to re-engage the challenges of this country, all other countries on the continent. And I'm very, very glad, something that Professor Vilnkomo did not say, that happily they've attracted a high quality of teachers. Because in the end, you can't produce the kind of outcome I'm talking about if all you do is to hire Thabo Mbeki as a professor. No such capacity. But very well done for the progress that is made with regard to this. The question that Professor Paswana was asking, yes, indeed, we have this engagement with the students twice a year. It's exactly because of that. It's true, some of what the Vice Chancellor was saying about me, some of it is true, not all of it. And some of the things, if I can tell you a secret, she spoke very well about me. And part of the reason for that, she owes me 10,000 rand and has not paid. But it's to be able to engage our students to say, in all of these years of being alive and doing various things, what input can we make to the process that this African school, for instance, would engage in, also to put in our hand in imparting knowledge, experience, so that indeed we use all ways and means to try and produce the kind of intelligentsia that our country and our continent needs. I hope I've answered Professor Persona's question. So, but then let me conclude by saying, or not saying, but asking. When you ask questions, don't ask difficult questions. Because you see, when I fail to answer these questions of yours, then you will say Professor Paswana was wrong in the way she said who this person is. So please, let's agree, the simpler questions, simple ones, the simpler the better. Thanks a lot.
Another warm round of applause. Indeed, Mr. President, you have answered me, and I think even the rest of the people who are here who wanted to know why these conversations. And I think many of our students, I can see some of them here in the hall, they now understand this is not about photo shooting, this is not about selfie moments, this is about training you into becoming the next intelligentsia of the continent. We are now transitioning into your time, our students, members of the public, Unisa community, your moment, and it's a moment of Q&A, questions and answer sessions, and I think you have heard that your questions must not be difficult. I'm not sure about that. We are now at this time when we are going to be doing the reason why you are here today, what you came here for. And to facilitate the session, I would like to invite Mr. Thabo Mbeki, our Marketing and Communication Director here at the TM School, to come and lead this session. Over to you. I think he's going to be telling you how this session will go and how he's going to run it. And I will be sitting here and listening to your questions as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon again, and to those who I spoke to earlier on. Good afternoon, President. Good afternoon, VC. Good afternoon to all distinguished guests, ambassadors and high commissioners here, and all of us who are here, who from civil society, from Unisa, from all quarters of life, who decided to grace us this afternoon. I'm not sure, colleagues, about this microphone here, because President Mbeki has a book that he wants to use here. I'm sure we can find a way to work with it, if you can help us. This microphone here. Is it fine? Okay, cool. All right, no, it's fine. Over the years, we have had these conversations, and President Mbeki has been gracious enough to answer questions, difficult and simple, on EU-Africa relations, Africa-China relations, and many other free trade relations that the continent has with countries and trade blocs. He has spoken about the APRM, conflicts and conflict resolution, peace building in Africa. He has spoken about reconciliation and transformation, and not reconciliation without transformation that tends to happen in this country. He has reminded us that we need to define ourselves and not allow others to define us. He has emphasized gender and gender mainstreaming. It's a question that he comes back to over and over again. And I'm inviting you to visit our YouTube channel for these topics and other topics that he has covered over the years during these conversations. We did say, Professor did say, that President Mbeki visits the school twice a year to talk to students. And I'm going to deliberately discriminate by starting with them and affording them an opportunity to ask questions first, and then we'll go to the rest of the audience. You will remember if you were here earlier, that I said you need to keep our introductions very short. Name, surname, and if you must, your preamble must not exceed 15 seconds. So that we allow ourselves as much time as possible, others as much time as possible to have an opportunity to ask questions. Because if we tell long stories, that will be limited. Colleagues, I'm sure our students are seated here. If there are any questions, can I see by raising your hand? If not, I will move to the rest of the audience. Are there any questions here? Don't be shy. There's a hand here. There's 1, 2. I don't know what Ntsako is doing there because 3, 4. In that order. There's a microphone that will come to you. I said, you're the first, and number 2, and 3, 4. I'm ignoring you deliberately, my friend, because I know that you are an alumni, not really a current 2022 students. You'll pardon me. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, and also...
It's fine. You may feel free to stand also.
Tembi Maluleke here. My question is, in pursuit of liberation in South Africa and the current state that is in, will a referendum be a solution to where we find ourselves right now?
Thank you very much.
Good day, Mr. President. Thank you for the opportunity. Sabina Mukojo, my question is on social injustice. I understand the gender mainstreaming, it's actively so in Africa as a continent with South Africa and Rwanda in the top. But with social injustice, we continue to see the negative part of it, like recently with the Banyana incident, whereby they won the cup, but then the compensation for them. So where do we draw the line on that one? What's the way forward onto it? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please do speak up. The colleagues handling the sound are asking that you become a bit more audible.
Good afternoon.
This is a surprise, but it's fine.
Women only?
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Linda Dlamini. I would like to know when African leaders started treating Africans, like your constituents, as children. And I ask that because there are many decisions that are made by Bretton Woods institutions and our own institutions that do not speak to our reality. They speak over us, they speak above us, but they never speak to us. And it's not just in South Africa, I find that it's across the continent. And how do we rectify this as the next generation of leaders?
So there are 2 hands, those 2.
Thank you very much. My name is Maiwiyam Kwena. My question is regarding the potential impact of the multinational companies in Africa, continental free trade area. What are those challenges posed by the trading blocks in the multinational companies, and whether is there a possibility that there will be a single currency to realize the objective of Kwame Nkrumah?
So there's a gentleman next to him, and I'm going to take you, and then Ntsako will be the last in this block, and then the President will answer.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. My name is Michael Shackleton, through you to the President. I don't think my question is much of an intellectual question, and it's not a multinational question. But as a South African, looking at our energy insecurity currently, that we're faced by stage 5 load shedding, what would the President say are the main contributors to this crisis? Is it a real crisis? And is this crisis capable of solution and even capable of being speedily resolved? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Second last. we'll end with you, Nzako.
Thank you, Mr. Thabo. Thank you to Team Ali for being under their caliber.
There's no more Team Ali.
All right. As an alumni, my name is KC Motau, Photo Castro Motau. My question is to the patron. Is South Africa becoming an oligarchy state? And is crony capitalism our modus operandi? Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings. My name is Nzako Maleka. Let me firstly say, Mr. Netu, can you allow us to speak as you have deserted us from your responsibility in the DSD? So now, because we are here and the former president is right next to us, we will vent out because you are not there anymore. So thank you. Let me firstly say that it would be a very huge problem if we did not address the current issues that are happening within the institution, especially speaking on behalf of the student. The president and the other members who were introducing him spoke about how good he is and how much he has contributed into finding ways of bringing peace and also leading the negotiations in a form of finding a way in which African people can empower and improve themselves. But the honest truth is that currently in Unisa we are facing a lot of problems, and the silence of the chancellor here has been very loud. It has been too loud that the institution is trending in all social media platforms, and throughout the time it is not for anything that is good. The students are facing a very huge problem which starts right from the management. So as the chancellor, we would like to find out that what is his view on those issues, that they also affect us academically. So Unisa is an institution that offers fees that are reasonable to students and also offers bridging courses that black students who are not even able to get any other space can be able to further their studies. But now we find ourselves that we are even being questioned when we have to apply for work. So now it is very alarming that the very same institution that speaks about empowerment and speaks about black people, that is filled with most black people within the institution, that offers proper opportunities that's supposed to offer proper opportunities and a breakthrough for African students, has now found itself being questioned regarding its level of qualification, its level of management, that it has affected us in a very bad manner, President. I'm even calm now. It hurts to an extent that we don't even know whether we'll even find our results in time or will even graduate, or whether now even our results, they are questioned on the level of marking that currently happens in Unisa. So while you also speak about Timali now finding a way to empower and speak about that the institutions, Mr. Nate, we have spoken, okay, sorry. I thought my mark was cut, but yes.
Please wrap up.
Okay, I'll wrap up. We are students, and we are taught that as students we must allow to speak our minds. So apologies, yes. So I'll wrap up, but now I would like the Chancellor here to give us his view on the current issues that are happening within Unisa. If it means you must reprimand right here, kindly do that. If it means you must call out, kindly do that, because his silence has been too loud. Thank you.
Thank you, Nzako. Without further ado, I'm going to desert the stage and allow the Chancellor to come answer the questions.
Let me start with the last question. No, there's no need to clap. There isn't. There isn't any need to clap. Let me start with the last question. I'm sure that our colleague who posed the question knows what the role of a chancellor of a university is. You do, don't you? Because I think an observation like that, which is very important, has got to be based on some knowledge about the reality we're dealing with. The position of Chancellor of universities, the chancellors of universities, is not decided by individual universities. There's a universal law or regulation that affects all chancellors. And certainly, there's no chancellor among our universities here who is part of the management of the university. No chancellor is. Therefore, the expectation that the chancellor, you said you've been very quiet, quite correct. It's the function, the operation of a chancellor within a university. It results in all of that quietness. To have expected any other behavior is a reflection of the lack of knowledge about the role of a chancellor. I wanted to start with this because it comes to the heart exactly of what we're discussing. When we talk about an African intelligentsia that is able to grapple with the challenges of the continent and really help us to lead, part of the requirement is an understanding of our reality. Not as we imagine it, but as it actually is. Say, for instance, the SRC here has never asked to meet me, to brief me about all of these problems you are raising. Quite how a chancellor would have got familiar with all of the issues you are raising, I don't know. Without an engagement by the leadership of the students, which might not have resulted in the chancellor making noise. But I'm saying even that has not happened. I think because the SRC understands what the role of a chancellor is. Now, as I was passing the vice chancellor here, we agreed that fortunately she's here. Much, much better qualified to answer these questions. Because she's our manager, she's the manager of the university. This is our CEO. It's the CEO who will answer the questions, not the chancellor. True, the chancellor, I meet with the vice chancellor. I meet with the chair of council, Mr. Mabua. Once I was even invited to attend a council meeting, sure, as chancellor. It doesn't change the role of the chancellor. If the universities, if somebody, maybe Minister of Higher Education, decided to add the chancellors as part of the management of universities, to change the operational structure, you then even have to change the criteria for the selection of vice chancellors. Some of the vice chancellors in the university, in the universities here, are big business people. Quite what they know about higher education, I don't know. But clearly it would be very important in terms of fundraising for the university. Some of them are highly qualified professionals. The one when I was appointed here, I was following a judge, a very educated judge, a very good man. I've never asked him how well he knows anything about higher education. I'm saying, you see, even the selection of the chancellors, if the understanding was that you are adding the chancellors as part of the management system of the university, then you wouldn't choose me. You would look for someone else who would be part of the management of the university, who would then be able to answer the questions you pose. Anyway, the Vice Chancellor is here. She's ready now to stand up and answer the questions you've posed. I don't know, Tsepo, whether that's allowed. She can say she speaks as my representative. Then that should be okay. There was a question raised about a referendum. Relating to the challenges in South Africa. I'm not quite sure, the matter was not explained as to the context of that referendum, but I do not believe that there is anything that faces us currently that requires a referendum. I think we face a major challenge here at home. It's a challenge of leadership. Here we face with enormous challenges with the economy, enormous challenges with the politics, enormous challenges about matters of peace, security, safety of the population, many challenges of this kind. And a critical ingredient I believe we need to resolve those problems is a good leadership. In government and generally in society. Just before I came in this afternoon, the former Statistician General, Padile Hotla, was making a very interesting observation regarding this energy matter that was raised. And he was saying, I'm not saying he was right, but this is what he said, that ESCOM is a big engineering institution, but also it's a big business. And he said, therefore, in terms of its leadership, you need engineers and economists. But instead, what do we have as its leadership? He said we have politicians and accountants. I'm not saying that Paddy was right, but this is what he said. But he was looking again at this question I'm trying to raise, of the quality of leadership in our country. It's reflected even with regard to this energy matter. Why do we seem to be incapable as a country that is incapable of addressing this matter effectively? Is it the issue that Padile Hotla is raising? Let's put engineers and economists as the leadership of ESCOM. Maybe that's the answer. But I'm saying it's going to come from a kind of leadership that we need. In 2020 particularly, I'm sure all of us are familiar with this, that we had something that came out of South Africa which was very, very positive, which was that business, government, labor, civil society, everybody was saying the problems, the challenges, the economic challenges we face in the country are so big that we need to get together to solve them. Labor, government, etc., etc. Therefore, that is where this concept of a social compact. We need a social compact so that everybody will join hands in order to address these problems. I'm saying that call was strongest when it emerged in 2020, partly as a result of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are now towards the end of 2022. It has produced nothing. We have failed to effect that compact about which everybody is agreed. But it has not happened. Why? I think it comes back to this question of leadership. Because indeed, in order to address these issues about poverty, unemployment, inequality, and all of this, you do need the social partners to act together. But for some reason, we seem to be unable to do this. So what I'm trying to say, therefore, is that I do not believe we need any referendum to say to the population, this is what we think is the solution, what's your view, please vote. No. It's indeed to go back to the population to say, these are our solutions. What is your view? We need an engagement about all of these matters. The question is raised correctly about matters of social justice. You know, many years ago, some of us were saying that the strategic task we have as a country is to eradicate the legacy of colonialism and apartheid. A strategic task. We are nowhere near eradicating that legacy of colonialism and apartheid, which will have as one of its features, the legacy, is the social injustice that our colleague was talking about. To answer that question, we must be able to answer the question, what is it that we have not done as a result of which we have not succeeded to eradicate that legacy? Because I'm saying within that legacy we will find the social injustice that is spoken of, which would include this discriminatory thing in terms of the wages, salaries, earnings of the Banyana versus the Bafana. Manifestation of the same problem. I'm saying there's a larger question, the radical change of the society away from its past. It's only, I think, in that context that we'll be able to address the matter of social injustice, as it has been raised, within the context of the larger thing, and answer the question, why have we not succeeded? What do we as students at the African school say? what does our leadership in the intelligentsia say, and what are the solutions? There was a question that was raised about infantilization. Okay. That there are people who talk down to us, treat us like infants. It was not said who this person is who does that, or institution or whatever. I really would have appreciated an understanding of that. Because for one to lead, if one to lead people, you can't talk to them as infants. You got to respect them. Even if you're asking for them to respect you, there is mass of the people to respect you, you must also show respect for them. The Vice Chancellor spoke about the Imbizo processes that we used to have when we were in government. I remember one Imbizo, which was in the rural areas. It was on the border between Mpumalanga and Limpopo. Real rural areas, deep rural. And so we got there, and I was told by the organizers that there was an old man who had traveled overnight to come to the Imbizo. Old man. And then they said, that's it, that is he. So they'd arranged that among the people who would raise their hands, he should be allowed to ask a question or say whatever. And indeed he raised his hand. And he said, President, I'm not standing up to ask for anything. I'm standing up to say thank you very much for what you've done for me. I have a pension, he says.